right, you ready for this one? You know, I gotta say, past couple reviews, you started off a little bit dark and melancholy, but for this one, you got me hyped up, man. I can't wait to see what you got in store.
Oh, that's putting it mildly. Look, we are about to embark on a film journey that defies the meaning of game changer. We are about to embark on a journey so miraculous that Jesus Christ himself looks upon this movie and goes, damn, that's some holy shit right there. We are about to watch a movie that has single-handedly changed the course of filmmaking and movies in its entirety. I better brace myself for this one, because we are about to watch The Avengers. The Avengers. The Avengers. Okay, what the fuck?
Oh, is that all?
I swear to God, if you're gonna say something bad about this movie, there are gonna be words that can't.
Oh, no, that's far from the problem. The MCU is one of my favorite film series of all time. It's just...
Then explain why the fuck you got a problem.
Well, it's just... I don't know what's left there is to talk about with this movie. I mean, it's been so saturated since its release back in 2012 that I don't really know what else there really is to even add or contribute that hasn't already been said.
Yeah, I guess that is true. But maybe you don't need to.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if everything that's been said about this movie has indeed been said, then maybe the only thing left to do is to really take it to the house, kid.
You mean kind of like a conclusion or like a sum up?
Yeah, just talk about, well, no pun intended, but the marvel that is this movie. Talk about its background. Talk about what happened when it came out. Talk about its legacy going down the road. I mean, it's such a pop culture giant, you really can't go wrong no matter which way you go about it. I mean, you don't have to talk about the movie itself in general, just talk about the movie.
Huh. Yeah, I guess I got a point there, huh? This movie doesn't really need a big old dissection of plot or characters or anything like that. Just needs a simple, old, straight-up review. Alright, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah!
Yeah!
But seriously, just keep it to phase one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We don't need this review being longer than the movies themselves, right?
Yeah, well, didn't stop you in the last 3 reviews.
Hey, fuck me!
Fuck you? No. Fuck me, pal.
Oh, you want to start something?
Oh, it got started last week when you decked yourself over a fucking B-list family flick.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is After the Credits, episode 4, and welcome to our first running joke of the series. It's hammer time, bitches! Come here, Jesus Christ! No!
When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are.
So, yeah, you saw the opening title, you saw the opening credits. What else is there for me to say? It's Avengers, one of, if not the biggest superhero movies to ever hit the scene. I mean, do I honestly even need to go over the plot or the characters or anything involving this movie? You all know it. The plot, in case you've been living here your whole life, is as basic as it comes. Evil supervillain wants to rule the world and superheroes try to stop him. The characters, again, who doesn't know these characters by now? They're household names played by actors who are also household names. It's simply impossible not to know them, and rightfully so. These were characters and plot lines that were 7 years in the making and ended up culminating in films down the road that were even bigger this one, and they were almost 2 decades in the making. Call a medic! Shut it! Now, just to be perfectly clear, this movie was in every means a gamble. Yeah, sure, we don't really see it that way now because we all know the payoff, but you gotta think about it in scope. For a time, very few superhero movies were seen as profitable. In fact, they were almost seen as box office poison. So to make plans to make an entire series of comic book movies, let alone one on the scale and scope of the ones that we ended up getting, was actually pretty ballsy. Sure, films have done crossovers in the past, but nothing this well thought out. While each film was technically doing its own thing, we all know now that each film was simply a small piece of the puzzle leading up to this one singular film that was planned from the very start. To top it all off, Marvel didn't have anywhere near the kind of financial backing that they do nowadays with their films. In fact, the first Iron Man movie was in developmental hell for the better part of the 90s, and it wasn't until Marvel got the movie rights back in 2006 that they were actually able to make the movies. And they weren't being distributed by Disney, they were being distributed by Paramount. In fact, a large majority of Phase 1 was distributed by Paramount and not Disney. Disney didn't buy out Marvel until 2008, after the Incredible Hulk movie came out. But hey, they were good sports. They said they wouldn't be interfering with any prior or pre-existing contracts. But gee, can you guess which film that happened to end on? Did you guess the third highest grossing movie of all time, slash the highest grossing movie of 2012, slash the movie that made $1.5 billion at the box office? No? Well, then you better get yourself checked out, you little dipshit. My God. So yeah, to say that this movie was a big success is kind of an understatement at this point. But hey, critics and audiences alike both agree that this movie not only lived up to the hype that it was building up for years and years, but it exceeded it. And that kind of serves as a big testament to this movie. It offers such a wide range of entertainment that it brought in an audience on a near global scale. Whether or not you enjoyed comic books or even comic book movies up until this point became kind of irrelevant because this movie made it irrelevant. Now, just to be clear, these are not the same characters you'd see if you were to read one of the comics. Sure, they have a lot of the same designs, character traits, and even a fair amount of similar backstory, but they've taken on a life of their own. One of the MCU's biggest claims to fame is that they've managed to use multiple movies to establish their characters, world, and overarching story before we get to the big payout. This pretty much guarantees that even the lesser quality films will be viewed but in large quantities by the audience and make bank because, hey, I'll be damned if I'm going to miss a vital piece of info that goes into this story from having skipped out on Hulk 2, Hulk gets his groove back. These multiple movies allow for us to really get invested in these characters and know them on a really personal level so that when they do reappear next to another one of these characters that was also pre-established beforehand, we already kind of know the deal and what to expect. I mean, we know who they are, we know what they're here for, we know what to expect from them, we know what the stakes are for them, and we're overall invested in their endeavors so that when everything is said and done, we know exactly what to cheer for, what to be excited about, what to be fearful of. And if you think for any kind of reason that this isn't been successful or it doesn't have the effect that I'm saying that it does, I want you to find one person, one singular person who during the Avengers movie when it first premiered that did not feel anything or had no reaction when Phil Coulson, that secret agent guy, when he got stabbed through the chest by Loki. Find me one person who, after seeing all the other movies, had no reaction, was not affected at all by that scene, by the death of that character. And yeah, sure, in hindsight, the death of that character didn't really amount to a whole lot of stuff. If you even know the existence of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you know that pretty much amounts to basically nothing. But my point still stands, because up until this point, everyone thought Phil was dead. Everyone, like when he died on that aircraft thing, that was it. We were like, holy shit! They actually killed him. That's it. This freaking sucks. It was such a major blow because Coulson had been in the well, it wasn't known as the MCU then, but he had been in the MCU since the first Iron Man. He was there from the beginning, and he was with us throughout most of the. He was there for most of the films. I think the only ones that he wasn't really in were Captain America, ironically, and the Incredible Hulk movie. But that was kind of its own thing with Edward Norton and everything. But he was there for a lot of the movies. So again, we got to know him more and more through these movies, and we got so used to his character that the idea of him just dying was kind of a big blow. And again, they got the right effect, but. even though he wasn't the most developed character, he was still leaving an impact with us, which again is a testament to these movies. A lot of the credit for this reaction, though, does go to the writers. These guys are evil fucking geniuses to make 6 movies from 6 different genres of film with different directors, different stories, different actors, all at the helm of each film, and to have them all come together under the same roof using pre-established, likable characters, all with clearly defined personalities and backstories, to the point where you can get your audience emotionally invested to the point of sheer frustration and disappointment when one of them dies, is honestly nothing short of a freaking miracle. And again, if you have any further arguments to this point, look at everyone's reactions to the end of Infinity War and Endgame. You don't get reactions like these for characters that haven't found their way into the hearts of their audiences. It just doesn't happen. Also, the creativity in these movies is simply a sight to behold. Look at any of the big action scenes going on during one of the Avengers movies. You know the ones with all the freaking superheroes fighting at once, working off each other. The big money shots. The way in which these scenes are filmed is just oozing with love from the people who care about the quality of their product. The stunts, filming, music, fight choreography, character designs, etc. It's just a boatload of fun. And when it picks up, holy shit, when the action in these movies picks up, it's freaking picking up. These movies are some of the most fun you'll ever have in watching an action flick. Yeah, that's right, bitch, I said it. Another really big benefactor to this movie is, in fact, the dialogue. Now, to me, dialogue, especially in a comic book movie like these, is really what can make or break it. You know, of course you need your action and, you know, the characters themselves and everything, but the dialogue in movies like these can range from really, really, you know, like simple and, you know, straightforward, and that can be good, or to really absurd and complicated and just a mess. But this movie, it finds the median. It finds the perfect, you know, middle of the road kind of talk when it comes to stuff like this. From exposition to common chatter to dramatic monologues. If a movie like this doesn't know how to get its point across, the rest of the movie is nothing else. It's nothing else but fluff. It's nothing. Without all those moments, you know, that seamlessly fit together into one like that, the movie's just a mess otherwise. These movies know how to use dialogue to their advantage. They really do. These are all characters with big personalities, and the one thing audiences want to see them do is, of course, interact. Well, I mean, other than fight, we want to see them interact. We want to see what it's like when they finally come together, and it's like, okay, we know what they're like on their own. We know what they can do on their own. I want to see what happens when they come together. Of course, we all want to see them fight. That's a given. It's human nature at this point when it comes to stuff like this. But again, aside from fighting, we want to see them interact. How they work off each other, how they insult each other, how they just talk in general. And the whole film is literally that. And it's actually almost perfect the way that they do this. Everyone is just shooting one-liners at each other, and it's just one-liner after one-liner after one-liner, and you know they just keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you would think this wouldn't work. You think this would get annoying, but honestly, if you're making the ultimate comic book movie, what else is there to do but have everyone just spewing one-liners at each other, especially good ones like the MCU has kind of become known for, like this. Okay, sure, some movies miss the mark big time when it comes to this category, but Marvel's kind of found a way around it. Marvel can get away with everything they do in their big team-up films because the build-up movies help give them the charisma and intrigue to do so. That's what's missing from a lot of the other film series trying to follow in the footsteps of Marvel. The reason DC movies are lacking so much luster is because by the time we get to Justice League, what do we know about everyone? The only one we really had a trace on was Wonder Woman, and guess why? It's because she had a really solid solo film beforehand. The rest, shit, I don't even know. Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, they were all introduced in the Justice League movie. Batman was really only introduced when he was in Batman v Superman, which ended up being more of a sequel to the Man of Steel movie than anything else, with Batman just happening to be there. Superman did have 2 films before the Justice League movie to try and set him up, but the first one was so hit or miss with audiences, it was kind of hard to get a read on him and make heads or tail of who his character was supposed to be. And the second one was such a hot mess that by the end of the film, they just said fuck it and straight up killed him.
Now, yeah, sure. Jason Momoa did eventually show us why he deserves to be in the Aquaman role, why we deserve to cheer for him whenever he's on screen, why we want to give a crap about him when he was in his own solo movie. And yeah, it was one of the better DC movies that had come out in a long time, right up there with the Wonder Woman movie. But again, the biggest problem was that it came out after the Justice League movie. So again, I can't help but think that if it had come out beforehand and we had seen Aquaman and when he first showed up on screen next to Batman, it would have had a much bigger effect. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, bitch. I mean, I don't know how you can make such a misstep like that when it comes to something like this. But I will try to be fair, and I don't want to hate on DC a lot because they do bring out a lot of my favorite products. Like Young Justice is one of my favorite shows of all time. Same with the OG Batman series. The animated one. I do still love to watch the Adam West one, just for the lulz, honestly, because that show's just so ridiculous. But I'll try to be fair when it comes to the Marvel movies as well, because they do have their problems. No film is perfect. This isn't like fucking Citizen Kane or Gone with the Wind or any fucking thing like that. But I will say that the plot is basic as fuck when you get right down to the nitty gritty of it. But for a movie like The Avengers, it's safe to say you're not here for the story, but it's a very, very basic run-of-the-mill story. And yeah, Loki's plan for this whole thing is kind of, yeah, it's bullshit. Everyone says it's bullshit, and it is. I mean, what's my big plan to take down the superheroes? Oh, I'm going to bring them all together because I know it'll tear them apart. So what do I do to tear them apart? Oh, I kill the one person that literally brought them all together. Fucking Christ. So yeah, when you look at it just standing back and you really analyzing it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But again, we're not here for Loki's plan or for the plot or anything like that. We're here for the characters. We're here to see them come together, beat shit up, and if you want to put a story in between, sure, that's fine. But we all know why we're here. We all know what we want. The filmmakers know what we want. The studios know what we want, and they deliver it in droves. Are there a few too many conveniences or plot holes sprinkled throughout the movie that could probably be filled in the future? Yeah, I'd say so. But again, these movies aren't perfect, and I don't really think I want them to be perfect. I think they're fine the way they are with all the holes and everything they are, because it makes them kind of feel more like a comic book. It makes them feel a lot more crazy and like disproportionate and as out of the box as some of the comic book issues were that I've seen. And it just really works in that sense, because again, you just don't care because you're so invested in everything going on already from the past 5 movies.
Now, sure, as time goes on, this movie will continue to have faults and flaws pointed out by other reviewers and other critics and stuff like that, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. The Avengers will stand the test of time as one of the most pivotal game changers as far as blockbusters, comic book movies, and even filmmaking goes in general, because it gives you everything you could possibly ask for, because it's come up with this amazing formula for box office gold, and everyone's just trying to become the next big Avengers-esque type of film series. It's really kind of impressive how much people have tried to follow in the footsteps of this film. But only one of them will ever stand at the top of the hill as king. And why? Because the original just did it that damn good to begin with.